When you talk about Global South, what is that group?
So the Global South is basically one term that sort of used to be used to describe the Global South as like developing countries. The idea is, they're a group of countries that largely in the Southern Hemisphere that have a legacy of being colonized by Europe.
Europe.
That are, disproportionately lacking in resources, that experience very high levels of poverty as well, and are disproportionately black and brown countries, largely.
Most of that footprint is coming from wealthy countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the impact is most seen and felt on those in the Global South from those impoverished.
It's not a balanced equation, is it?
Yeah, so it's one group who have most of the money, who've colonized one other group, and those people are having to suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
So what is that link, and how does climate change link to migration?
So you're absolutely right when you say that it's the countries that contribute the least to climate change that are actually suffering its biggest consequences. So for example, in 2015, there was a heat wave in India that killed 2,300 people. In the island of Dominica, one storm set development back by 20 years. You have a situation where, particularly in the Global South, you have lots of people living in what is called severe multiple poverty, which means that one shove, one event, one push will push you from barely being able to survive to not surviving. So in that context, a drought, a flood, a storm can be literally the lifeline, can be literally the thing that pushes you over that line. And the connection there is rooted historically. It's rooted in the fact that, way back in when Europe industrialized through extracting fossil fuels from the Global South. And that continues to be the case. Africa is the wealthiest continent under the ground, and that's why it's the poorest on top of the ground.
So often we try as individuals to blame others, but really what we should be focusing on is what we can control. But I want to actually look at the opposite to that, which is the fact that for some people in the world, in this Global South, they can't control a natural disaster, but that could literally be the end of their life. So going back to your point, Kesh, about us being privileged, we are privileged enough to say that if a natural disaster happened, there are precautions we can take. Some of them genuinely can't take many precautions, and that could be it. So now what it does bring it back to is what we can control as these individuals and citizens in these privileged countries is how can we control the actions we take to ensure that we do not put those individuals at harm.